Hey guys, it's 3:30. It was a beautiful day today. Got probably 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. There's probably 2 hours of sunlight left, or actually less than that. I just want to show you, there's not a cloud in the sky. Maybe some little ones trying to make up there. But it's beautiful out. And I ended up cleaning out the chicken coops and getting rid of ashes from this coal stove and a couple other chores and things that I normally do. And I'm just enjoying the day. Really nice day today. And I want to make another video, and I'll do it in about 5 minutes. I just want to take a little walk here. Well, it's not that bad. It's 32 out. It's not, there's nothing thawing at the moment, even though the sun's shining bright. But what I want to say is that if you haven't watched my videos before, go to the one about talking about families and read the comments. We've got some good people watching these videos, and they've left some really good comments there, and I think that they're worth reading. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old, they're worth reading, every one of them. So we're supposed to get, for some reason they're saying it's supposed to go down to 11 tonight. That's pretty hard to believe. There's deer tracks here. So I was supposed to go down to 13 last night, but it didn't. It was in the 20s. I don't know if it's going to go down. There's no wind. Unless we get wind and something blows it in here, we're not going to have any temperatures that are that cold. But anyway, it's 32. It's supposed to go to 11 and then stay roughly in the 20s at night and 30s during the day for the rest of the week. Yeah, I'm out of breath already. I had been working there and shoveling and stuff, and I just wanted to walk. I was still hot. I took a shower to cool down, but I was still hot. You know, I took my blood pressure reading. You friggin' doctors, every time I go to the doctor, he tells me my blood pressure is high. And I've known all my life that when I go to a doctor, my blood pressure gets high, because these freaking doctors are the only ones who can make up bills that you don't know where they come from. You know, they're so expensive. But anyway, I just took my blood pressure and it was 117 over, what was that, 80, or no, 79, I think. 117 over 79. Can't beat that, I don't think. Either way, I'm not a doctor, but I'm happy with it. So I just wanted to get a little walk. Usually I'll take Bullseye out this time of day, but I got him wore out too. He was out all afternoon with me, running around and doing stuff, so I'll probably not take him for his nighttime walk unless I see him outside the kennel looking for me. But it's beautiful. I love this. This is what I love about living up here. You know, the quiet. There were some trucks today from the gas well guys, but it's mainly quiet. You got this beautiful snow everywhere. You know, I know some people don't like the snow, and I'm not crazy about it as far as working in it, but it's just beautiful. I'm enjoying the day, and especially my day started to get good as soon as I woke up and started reading comments that I got from you guys. So that's why I want to do another video to add to that. So I'm going to do that now, as soon as I get set up here somewhere warm. I love seeing all these different kind of tracks around here too. Of course, most of them at this point are mine and the tractor trailers. Hey guys, so anyway, I don't know what my hair looks like. I just walked in from outside. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for the comments, and I mean every single comment. every comment that I had gotten on that thing last night about family, every comment was, I don't even know how to put it. Every comment, when you read it, sometimes it sounded like maybe somebody's trying to blame me for something, and I'm being blamed for what I really did. How can I go against that? So anyway, I think the comments are worth reading. I think that those comments, not to make my channel grow anymore, because I really don't need it to grow anymore. I spend a lot of time on it trying to answer everybody's comments, and I didn't get to answer all the comments, and some of them were very, very long and in depth, and I can't answer them, okay, but in a single comment. But what I'm going to do is answer some of that stuff now. So yeah, the one thing that I read, and I remember one comment because I just read it when I walked out of the house, and it said on there that a parent's job is to raise their kids to be independent. And you know, there's no truer statement than that. If you can't raise your kids to be able to do without you, you are a failure. That's for sure. Okay, so now with that said, right now, you also have to realize that once you teach somebody to be able to do without you, they no longer need you, because you just taught them what they needed to do to go do it. The good thing about my family is that they go do it, okay? I don't have a problem with, you know, and I don't know what all the kids are doing because they don't talk to me. But I don't have a problem with them working. I don't. And I want them to work. And I don't care what they do, as long as they're working and feeding themselves. That's all that matters to me. The only thing is that, you know, if they could have got to know me as an adult rather than just as a dad-kid thing, they could have found out that I got some tricks up my sleeve that they could have really learned quickly. But sometimes, you know, you don't teach the kids the tricks until after they're old enough to understand how to use them. Because today, you teach kids tricks, and the next thing you know, every kid knows the trick. There's no longer any tricks. So, and it's not that these tricks are bad tricks, they're just things of how you can handle situations to make them better for you. Alright, so the point is when the guy said what he said there, he's absolutely right. And if you can't teach your kid, again, to go out and become something on their own, you are a failure. And like I said, then you got the second part of that. And the second part is, I guess, old age. I know that doesn't sound like it joins together, but I'll explain it. So Sally and I are, you know, I mean, I'm not over the hill. I'm in my 60s. Of course, my grandfather died when he was 67. So, you know, but he smoked, he drank and stuff. I never did any of that. I wasn't interested in it, but we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about dying, because I lived my life and I am satisfied with my life. I think that, you know, God gave me a good life, and I loved every part of it. I love my children dearly. You know, nothing can take that away. But I will tell you that I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit there and listen to some kid talk like a nitwit and listen to him. I will tell him where he's wrong if he's wrong. If he's not wrong, then prove that to me, because I'm willing to listen to anything. If I can learn something, believe me, I want to learn it. That's why you see me doing all kinds of different things. But it's just one of these things where, you know, the kids they're out, they're doing their thing, and nobody's complaining. Nobody's crying to me. And if somebody does cry to me, depending on what the cry is, if somebody cries to me because their car broke down, I'll help them with it. If somebody cries to me because their husband is mad at them or their wife is mad at them, you get nothing from me. Okay? That's your problem. You take care of that. Because my dad didn't help me with my family when we had problems like that. But when it came to, you know, you need something for the car, and I'm not talking about buying me anything. Like, can you borrow a wrench? Do you need a wrench you don't have? You know, he used to know what I did have and didn't, and now I have everything that I need. So, But I'm just saying there was a time where, you know, when, and just talking about that, like as being a kid, I never thought that my dad was wrong. I never thought my grandfathers were wrong. When my two grandfathers and my dad talked to me, I listened to them like this is gospel. This is wisdom speaking. And I would go with it. Now the funny thing about this is like my grandfathers both smoked and they both drank. Now they didn't drink, or they didn't drink to the point where you know, they were alcoholics, but they liked to drink. They enjoyed drinking, and I didn't, and I don't now. That doesn't mean you shouldn't drink. I'm not against somebody who likes to drink. Now, getting drunk and acting like a dope, yeah, that I am against. But what I'm getting at here is, even though they did that, something in life told me not to do that. They never told me not to do that. My grandfather, when I was a little kid, 12 or 13 years old, I was making wine with him, and I would drink some of the wine. Now, I didn't drink a lot of it. I would drink a little jigger of wine with, you know, just a little thing, at supper time when I would go up there to work with him, my one grandfather. And the other one, you know, he never offered me anything, and it didn't matter. It's two different people, two different ways of doing things. But what I'm getting at here is, so I had a parent, and my dad was the same way. My dad drank and he smoked, and that's just the way they were. But I didn't. And they didn't tell me not to. But I just didn't want to. There was something about that I didn't like. But I did everything else they did. They all worked in construction. My both grandfathers were businessmen of their own right, okay? My dad was, and I was, and my uncles were, and now my uncles on my one grandfather's side, no, but the uncles on my other grandfather's side, everybody was in business for themselves except for a daughter that they had. So it was a good life. I mean, everybody was making money. My grandfather was the first one to come to this country, and we thought and still think that America is the best place in the world to be. You know, I mean, it's the only place where you can actually grow your way and have it your way pretty much. Now, if you're stuck in the middle of a bill problem or your wife's mad at and stuff, you may not agree with that. But believe me, I'm a very happy person when it comes to what I have, where I am in life, and you know, what we've accomplished, my wife and I. When it comes to the kids, I'm saddened by the things that we talked about, or that I talked about yesterday. But nonetheless, I am happy that they are doing what they're doing, because the funny thing about this, and my wife and I have talked about this many times, it's just something we didn't recently bring up. We talked about this 5-10 years ago. What I'm getting at is, we have said to one another many times, the kids are doing exactly what we wanted them to do. And that's it. These kids are not in jail. They're not, you know, getting in any kind of trouble. They don't take drugs. They're not all messed up. And they're trying to raise kids of their own. So it's just where we could have probably made it a little easier for the grandkids to be closer. But then again, when I see the grandkids treating the parents the way they do, it just doesn't seem like maybe we couldn't have done a thing with that. You know, maybe we couldn't. Either way, it didn't happen. So, and I'm not going to worry about it anymore. But I still have young, they're men and women, but I still have younger ones out there, you know, that haven't started having kids yet, and they will. And I hope these kids give them every trick in the book that they tried to give us, because it makes you a good parent. It makes you be what you ought to be. My thing, like for me, I got a couple comments there where at first it sounds like the guy is basically saying, look, you did this to yourself. And you're exactly right. I did do it to myself. And the reason I can say that and not be mad about the comment is because I wanted my kids to act like like they had something in their life. I wanted them to be able to work. I wanted them to be pleasing to other people. I wanted them to be pleasant to talk to. And from what I understand with their surroundings and all, they are that. They have become that, and they've done it on their own. I haven't had anything to do with that except for the initial upbringing. And maybe that's the whole point. You know, you get 17 years of this on my watch, and then you're on your own. You don't forget 17 years. There may be things you miss, but you don't forget the basics that have come up. So what I'm getting at here is, you know, as a parents, we can be unhappy that we don't get to see the kids no more. The freaking grandkids don't come around. None of the kids show up. You know, look, my wife and I need Christmas presents like we need a hole in the head. And when I said they don't come around at Christmas to give you a freaking Christmas present, I mean that. They don't. But at the same time, you don't need anything. And if they did come, they probably wouldn't know what to bring anyhow. It's, you know, especially at this point. And for me, Sally's over the house right now. I was working outside all day. Sally was working in the house. Sally was baking cookies. She baked or made a pot of homemade chicken soup. She's over there doing her thing. She's cleaning and trying to, you know, keeping the fire going. We have no problems with this working. We like this working. We think it's a good thing. And we think that to keep yourself busy and active, no matter what age you are, if you can, is a good thing. So, and that seems to be the major consensus of the whole point of the video with all the comments is, yes, we do miss the kids, and it would be nice if they knew it, but they don't seem to really be getting it. However, let me just say this. I can honestly say that I visited my grandparents and I visited my mom and dad when I was an adult with kids. It's not like it is now where I've never seen, like I don't know how many grandkids I have. I know I have 4 positively, and I know that there's 1 more, but I don't know any others. Now, I may be totally off with this, and I'm only talking about, you know, people have said to me, yeah, he has this or they have that. I'm not talking about what hearsay. I'm talking about my own knowing. I know of 6 grandkids, and that's not all there is, I'm guessing, because because of the size of my family. But anyway, to miss them is a good thing, because it reminds us that we still love them. And that's something that's important. And it doesn't matter if someone gets mad and doesn't want to show you that they love you. But whether they do or not, that's their problem. That's not my problem. Because like I say, Sally and I do love the kids. But here's the thing. Being a Christian, for instance, you know, we've been taught that God expects you to take care of your parents, help those in need, you know, do things that are good for others, not just for yourself. That is the problem. That's the problem. People have all gotten to the point where, you know, it's all about me. It's not about anybody else. It's about me. During my lifetime, and Sally's, what I have done was I bought each one of the kids a house. Now you would say, okay, you bought all the kids a house, well, isn't that spoiling them? Yeah, it is. There's only one problem. I didn't plan on giving it to them. I planned on making them pay for it. Some way that they could afford to pay, including whatever was done to the house to make it nice. Now, as the kids got older, they couldn't afford the house when they turned 18. And they didn't want the house because maybe it wasn't in the right part of town, or the right this or the right that, and maybe they didn't even want to be in town, because none of the kids live in the same town where I lived, and only one daughter lives actually close. The rest of them are states away. And hey, if I've got enough power to be able to make people move states away, maybe that's something that should be looked into. But I'm just joking. I don't look at that as a good thing. I look at it like, hey, they're working and maybe their work made them do that. I mean, my one son said to me one time, when he was getting his degree for engineering, he says to me, you know, Dad, I may have to move all the way to Texas to get work. And when he first said that to me, I thought to myself, I ain't gonna have to move to Texas. So I kind of just shrugged that off of my mind. But he ended up moving away anyhow, and I didn't expect that. Of course, there's little things that happen that are private that if someone knows you your whole life, they know how you're going to react, they know how you do things, and then all of a sudden they want to push that button. Why push the buttons? Why not just go along with what you see? I don't have all this property that I have in these houses just because someone decided to give me them. I had to work for them. No one ever gave me a house. No one ever gave me a car. I had to buy my first car from my grandfather. Now, true, I bought a 47 Plymouth that was only 50 bucks. But that 47 Plymouth had no brakes when I bought it. The motor wouldn't start. It needed a battery. It needed seat covers. It needed some body work. Now, I bought it back in the 60s, late 60s, when I was a kid, teenager working on a car. But let me just tell you, at the time, it seemed like, wow, $50 for that. Seemed like that was fair. It didn't seem like too much. It didn't seem like not enough. And he was happy, and I was happy to be able to do this. But the point is that no one ever gave me those things. So when I think to myself, what are the kids going to give or receive? There's little things in our family, and I'll just give you a for instance. When my grandfather came from Portugal, now that's my children's great-grandfather. When he came from Portugal, he worked in a machine shop on a boat to get here. And when he did, he made himself a ring with his initials on it, and it's a beautiful ring, but it's made out of a piece of stainless steel pipe. However, he made it, I have it, and he gave it to me, and he knew I wanted it. He had it on his finger ever since I was a little kid and sat on his knee. And I'd sit on his knee and look at his ring. I knew exactly what it looked like. I knew, what had the story behind it. And it's something that I wanted. And I have it. My dad had a rifle that my mom bought him when they first got married. Probably a year before I was born or better. And the point is that he had this rifle his whole life. And I have a lot of guns, but the one thing that's important to me is that I have his gun. It's not important to me, and the thing is I didn't even get it for free. I had to pay my mom for it. When my dad died, my mom started selling everything he had because he was a model airplane guy after he retired, and he loved it, and he had planes hanging from everywhere. So my mom got everything cleaned up and sold everything, and when it came to the guns, and I thank her for this, even though she's gone, I do thank her because she did say to me, look, your dad's guns are here, this is how much I want for them, you give me the money, you can have the guns. And I did. Now, what I paid her for those guns, the guns, I think there was about 5 guns I got from him, and there were 4 of them there that he had picked up for himself somewhere. They weren't important to me. What was important to me was the one rifle that he had it was a Colt lever action rifle that was made in the 50s, and that rifle I wanted, not to be able to use it, just to have it, because he had it. He used it. He shot many deer with that gun, and there's just something about it. You have to be a sportsman a little bit, you have to be a hunter, and you have to like guns to understand what I'm saying. So when I think about this, you know, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have this stuff. Who am I going to give this to? I mean, they don't come around. They don't know I have these things. I may have showed it to them. I may have said something to them, but I don't think they ever, I don't think they remember it, and I don't think they care about it. So that's the part of, you know, the giving stuff to the kids that kind of bothers me. Look, I can take and sell everything ahead of time, or have a lawyer sell everything ahead of time and let the kids fight over the money. I'm not willing to do that. I didn't do it before in their life, and I'm not doing it now. My kids have never fought over money in me, because I used to have this thing. How much money you want to borrow, how many days you want to borrow it from, this is how much you owe me. I did that only to teach them what life was going to be like when they got out there. Because it was nobody ever lent me money that I did not have to pay interest to, including my father. So I don't agree that you should have to pay interest. I think that people should be good enough to lend you for this. But in this day and age, and in America, you know, as being capitalist, it's part of our education to know that you don't get money for nothing, and it has to be paid back. So I was raised with that idea, and I taught that idea, and I used that idea to get from point A to point B. So it's not something that, you know, all these things with the kids is not something that I didn't do. I did do it. And let me tell you, looking back on it, and I say to myself, if I was 50 years younger and I knew what today was going to be like, you know, when I'm 65, would I change the way I treat the kids? And I thought about this last night, and I thought about it after reading a bunch of comments, and the answer is no. I would not have changed. And I'm glad that I did what I did. I put out every good effort I could possibly put out. The kids may not have liked the way I put out an effort, because there were times when I gave them good spankings. And in my house, it is my rules. I mean, my house, my rules. In my dad's house, it was his rules. You know, my dad, my job was to take out the garbage, amongst other things, and I took out the garbage. There was no not taking out the garbage. That's your freaking job. You're taking the garbage out, so get to it. That was how we were talked to, and that's how I talked to my kids. It never bothered me when my dad talked to me like that, because when he looked at me and he looked at the trash can, he didn't even have to say it. I did it. And my grandfather basically did the same thing. One time I was working with my grandfather at his business, and my grandmother was carrying a bucket of coal from the house over to the business to get that fire going. And this was years ago, and my grandfather says to me, "What kind of a grandson would leave his grandmother carry a bucket of coal from the house to here?" And when he said that to me, I thought to myself, yeah, what kind of a grandson would do that? You know, so I never left my Grammy carry the coal again. Or anybody else's house that I went to, I would make sure I'd go down and, where's your coal bucket's empty, let me go fill it. I'll go fill it for you, then you have coal. And that's what I did, and I do that to this day. The only thing is my kids don't do that. But they were taught the same way, but they're not interested in fulfilling those obligations. They seem to, okay, this was that, or this was his way, but this isn't our way. But the problem with our way today, our way is a one thing. It's like, I want this and I want that. All right, well, let me just say this to you. And I'm making believe I'm talking to my own kids. When you were kids, I wanted a new truck. But I didn't say, well, you're not going to eat this week and the month of April or May so that I can save up enough down payment to get a truck or whatever. I didn't say that to them. Or I didn't say to them, you're not getting this freaking shoes you want because, you know, your mother needs to get her hair cut. We didn't do that. That's not how life was. Everybody got what they needed, including me and the kids, and that's how things went. My kids don't do that. It's not a matter of sharing with them. See, with me, life was a matter of, okay, I got these rules. We're going to live by these rules. They are not hard rules. For some of you who are out there, you may think that, oh, life was so hard when the kids were little. Life was not hard. It was easier than it was for me. All I'm saying to you is, it's not that, I would write the rules and put them on the frickin' wall, or maybe I did, I don't know. But the point is that I would let everybody know where I stand on something, and then that was their job to take care of it. And I didn't give my kids like one job where the kids would only do, like say one kid would take out the garbage and that was it for his life. No, I would change it because I believe that you should know a lot of different things how to do them, not just one thing. So they would all do different things. Some of the kids would feed the dog, some of the kids would do this, some of them would do that, wash my truck, whatever, just to teach them. But when it came time for them to learn how to drive, and they wanted to learn, I taught them, and the ones who were already mad by the time that their age came to go driving, when they got to that point, then I didn't teach them. I think there's one kid that I did not teach who I had a problem because he was staying out very late, or he actually only did it once. He stayed out really late one night, thought it was funny. I didn't, neither did my wife. But anyway, the point is that yes, I did things with the kids, and so did you. And the kids went on their merry way. They're trying to make the best of it. And that's all we have. Let's look at it this way. Our great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, I haven't got a clue what their name is. I don't know where they come from. I don't know who they are. Okay? I don't know. We're not from America originally, so we don't know. And if you go back far enough with your parents and you live in America, you may not know who they are either, because they weren't here either probably, unless you're an Indian. And if you are, then good for you, but where did they come from? So what I'm getting at here is there's a certain a segment of time in history where we can know things, but then after that first one's forgotten. Next thing you know, the second one's forgotten. And there's lots of things that are forgotten. And, for me, like the thoughts of raising the kids, thinking about this, I'm on my way home from work. My wife said the kids need this, the kids need that, or, freaking teeth, braces, what kind of nonsense. Holy man. Clothing for school. Every time school come around, they have a big load of kids. My kids got new clothing. I'm telling you, I had 8 kids, and those kids had new clothing. They did not have to go to school with hand-me-downs. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hand-me-downs, because Sally used hand-me-downs, but what I'm saying is, as a kid, I mean she did, but what I'm saying is that I worked hard to take care of them. And it's only my own idea, it seems. It's not where, I had this idea that I'm going to do this and it'll teach the kids something. It may have taught them something, but they sure as heck didn't learn it properly, because that's why I say, you don't see them. So they don't seem to have any kind of, Dad, thanks for, what happened here. I didn't realize just how this was. And I'm trying to understand it and live with something. They just sort of meander away from it. Or if not meander, just run, blatantly run. But either way, when you think about what did you want them to do and what are they doing today, that was important. It was not important to me in my 20s and 30s that the kids help me. Now, let me explain that too, because not that it's not said properly. They didn't need to help me to know what I need to do. But like, man, my one oldest son, when he was 8 to 10 years old, used to hang door molding. The kid couldn't reach the top of the door. He had to stand on a stool. But he knew how to measure it, and he knew how to cut it, and he knew how to nail it. And I found that amazing. So when I had that, then I just took the kids to work with me. In the summertime, they did everything. My kids cannot say, especially the boys, none of them can say that they don't know how to build a house, because they would be liars. Now, they may not ever build a house because they're mad because, you know, Dad's made them, instead of going on a Saturday like one of you guys had mentioned to some freaking party somewhere, we worked overtime on Saturdays. So I took the kids with me. But, you know, let me just give you an example of a day when the kids were with me at home. I would go to work with a cooler, and in my cooler was a freaking turkey, a ham, and everything else that was needed to make freaking sandwiches. And when lunchtime came, these kids ate like freaking animals. I mean, I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. They would make sandwiches 3 inches thick and eat them. And we had a great time. And we had people that would come over that we worked for, and they'd come over and they'd look, what the heck are you, what are you eating? We had more in our cooler than some people that we worked for had in their refrigerator. We had all kind. I mean, one of the kids had some kind of freaking Dijon mustard or something. I don't even like that stuff, but I'm just saying, you know, that's what they wanted. Or they'd have a little turkey that was that big of their own, or a ham that was that big. Something. It was amazing, and I never charged them kids for that. Now, you know, if they worked for me by the hour, they got paid by the hour, and they got paid. If they broke something, or they lost something, or they did something wrong, they got deducted. That's the way life is. That's what happened to me. Nobody, if I was doing a job, and the job had to be done on Friday, and I'm still working on it the following Tuesday, something's wrong. Somebody's got to be paid. And it ain't, guess who it wasn't? It wasn't me getting paid. It was me giving out to pay somebody who couldn't do the job right the first time. So, you know, as far as somebody saying to me, oh, this is how you laid things out, so because you said these things, this is what they did. I laid out a good plan. I know I laid out a good plan because the plan worked fine for me and my wife, and it would work fine for some of the other kids if they would just know what they were, the plans. But they don't, and that's okay. So, the point is, though, is that what they're doing is wrong. It is wrong to not talk to your grandparents and not respect them and not show love. It is wrong to not show love to your parents, to not respect them. It is wrong, okay? That's all there is to it. You can say that we've changed something for whatever reason. We can sit here and say, well, you taught them to be on their own, which is true, but I never taught them to not love anybody. I never taught the kids to hate someone for something that they were that wasn't what the kids were. I didn't do that. I don't have problems with colors of race. I don't have problems with races. I don't have problems with ethnicity or any of that stuff unless you're giving me trouble. If you're not doing your job or you're trying to steal from me, then you're going to have trouble with me. That's the way life is. And that's how I found it for me. I couldn't get away with stealing things from people, and I didn't. I'm just saying, you know, this is how life can be. So we can talk about this till we're blue in the face, and it's a good conversation, though, especially on cold winter days. We can talk about this stuff till we're blue in the face. We cannot change what's happening, because today something is wrong with our school system. I mean, what kids are learning in school is unbelievable. When I was a kid in school, if you talked back to somebody, I can remember being in 3rd grade, and my 3rd grade teacher, if you know, you're 8 years old in 3rd grade, I can remember my teacher, or you're 9 years old, if you talk to somebody nasty, she would take points off of you just for talking to the other person in a nasty way. Even if what you said was true, it didn't matter. She wanted you to respect people. So you learned to respect people. You know, there were people from different countries that didn't quite speak English as good as they could have, or whatever. We tried to help them the best we could. That's how it seemed to be. But then, as I got into high school, and we used to also say the Our Father in school every morning. But then as I got into high school, it seemed like in 7th grade, I remember the girls in 6th grade that were girls, you know, little girls, they turned into 7th grade. It looked like they turned into hookers or prostitutes during the summer. Because, man, what they looked like when they came back to school, to me, a lot of it was atrocious. Now, yes, if sex is what you're after and stuff, then maybe it's good for you. But it wasn't for me, and I didn't like what I saw, and it's just something wrong with it. But anyway, you know, that's where it started changing. Somewhere in the late 60s, it started to change. And I wish I wasn't part of that change, but at the same time, I myself didn't change with it. But I remember seeing the changes and, you know, hearing about these college kids sit-downs and this and that and the other thing, which is, all that's a lot of nonsense. You know, when you start realizing you're paying out the money for this stuff and you're going to have a sit-down somewhere. When I went to college, I expected to hear all good information. I don't want to hear about your freaking wife. I don't want to hear about your kids. I don't want to hear about where you were over the weekend. I want to hear about surveying. I want to hear about math. I want to hear about whatever I came there to learn. That's what I want to hear about. Of course, you know, somebody mentioned in the comments, not all people are different, and it's true. There were kids who like listening to that. And I'm not saying that I don't like having a good conversation with somebody and, you know, getting to know them. That's not my point. My point is I'm paying for something here. I want what I'm paying for. I don't want, you know, stories. But yet today, because I taught college and I know, a lot of teachers are still good, but they can't compare with that one or two that's changing kids in a corrupt way that they're being, and the worst part about it is, I just said it, they're teaching kids to be corrupt, but they're teaching them somehow that what they're doing is not corrupt. I can't get it. I can't really place or picture how this can take place, but it is taking place. So this is why having conversations with my grandparents and my dads and my mom, not dad's, dad and my mom, was good, because I could get good information from them, and you know, they told you the truth about what things were going to be like. My dad played no games with me. You talk back to your mother, I'm going to slap your mouth for you. That's the way it was. So, you know, I had some words with my mom here and there, and as long as they ended up in peace and they ended up with somebody understanding something, usually me, it was good. And that's the way life had to be. As I got older and on my own, if I didn't like something that was going on and I told them about it, if it went back to being peaceful, it did. If it didn't, it didn't. I mean, that's how things worked. So, anyway, I just wanted to respond to the comments with this. There's some comments in there that are really good. They're long. They're so long that for me to comment to them is just too much for me. I can't do all that commenting because I have other work to do. But I'm just saying, read the comments. They're really good. I think that the people have a good attitude. Try and keep an open mind. I don't feel like anybody in those comments was trying to pick on me or anybody else. They're just saying what they see to be a way of being. You can tell by the comments, especially if you are older, you can tell that there's youth in some of the comments, because the youth hasn't picked up on some of the things that you pick up as you enter 60 and 70 years old. Anyway, guys, I just want to thank you for responding to the comments, and to let you know that a lot of the things that have happened around here, weather-wise and all, isn't the only reason I haven't been able to be at the sawmill, but I had gotten sick from taking some medicine that I was on, and it took me a while to get used to this medicine. And man, oh man, that being sick every day for like 3 months just took a lot out of me. So I'm hoping to get back into shape now. I've lost 7 pounds, so hey, it's not, I need to lose probably 25 more or more, but at least it's on the right path. So anyway, guys, if you have any other comments on this thing, please leave them, because it's well worth reading. Just reading the comments is worth it. You don't even have to watch the video if you don't want to, but the comments are good. So anyway, I'm gonna, it's, what the heck is, it's almost 4 o'clock or a little after 4. So I'm going to see if Bullseye wants to go out. If he wants to go out, I'll take him. If he doesn't want to go out, I'm not going to take him. But have a good one, guys. I thank you so much for helping me build this channel to the point that it is. And I really like the idea of having comments that are so thought out. And to take the time to write a couple paragraphs as a comment is not a bad thing. It's a good thing that you took the time to do, and I really appreciate that. So thanks a lot, and have a good one.